This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last class, we have seen about static keyword and packages. So today let us move to the next one, inheritance and polymorphism. These two topics we'll discuss today. Let us initially go with inheritance. The meaning of inherit. Inherit means take it. If you have already created a class and using that class creating new class, that process only we call inheritance. So you can say like the process of creating a new class from an existing class is called as inheritance. In Java, extends keyword. In Java, extends keyword is used to create a new class from an existing class. Like example, if you take a class vehicle, with some code inside, and if you create a class car extends vehicle, with some code inside. See, we are creating car class using vehicle class. The advantage is if you create car class object can access its own members and also even vehicle members. Means whatever the code we have written in vehicle, we can use that code in car class also. That's the meaning here. That means the advantage of inheritance is through inheritance we can achieve reusability of the code. Through inheritance, what we can achieve reusability of the code. And the terminologies are like this vehicle class, we call it as base class or super class or parent class. And this new class car created using vehicle, we call it as derived class or subclass or child class. Now, very important statement in Java. Java does not support multiple inheritance. Means that is due to ambiguities. Means in Java, a class can extend only one class. Java, a class can extend what? Only one class. Let us understand more of this point. If you create a class A with some code inside, and if you create a class B with some code inside, now if you are creating a class C extends, if you write here extends A comma B, then this will go with error in Java. So in Java, we cannot extend multiple classes. That's meaning called as does not support multiple inheritance. So if a class extends multiple classes, we call multiple inheritance. But in Java, it won't support multiple inheritance. In Java, a class can extend only one class. If I try to extend multiple, it goes with error. The reason is does not support multiple inheritance. Now let us understand what is the problem with multiple inheritance. What is the ambiguity with multiple inheritance? If you consider a class A and if you consider a class B and we are creating a new class C using A and B, means C class extends A and C class extends B, and the diagrammatic symbol for inheritance is triangle arrayed. Now let us suppose if A class contains X method and B class also contains X method, just assuming if A class contains X method, B also contains X method. When C object invokes X method, whether it has to take X method from A class, whether it has to take X method from B class. That is the confusion here. That's the ambiguity over here. Then, if you take C++, C++ supports multiple inheritance. Then how this problem is resolved in C++? In C++, this problem is resolved by using a keyword virtual. By using which keyword? Virtual. So when we make A class as virtual, it takes X method from B. If we make B class as virtual, it takes X method from A. But when we use virtual, we have to make use of pointers. Does Java support pointers?
No.
No, right? Because of this reason only, they have removed this multiple inheritance in Java. So that's a background story. So only one point you remember finally, Java does not support multiple inheritance. That point you remember. Some more examples of inheritance are like, if you consider vehicle, car is a vehicle, bike is a vehicle, bus is a vehicle. If you say fruit, apple is a fruit, mango is a fruit. If you say furniture, then table is a furniture, chair is a furniture. If you take account, saving account is an account, current account is an account. Then see how we are going to read. Car is a vehicle, apple is a fruit, table is a furniture, saving account is a account. Which word is coming in between? Is a. So very important statement. Inheritance is a relationship. So whenever we use extends keyword between the classes, the meaning between the classes should be what? Is it. Now let me elaborate this term properly. If you take a class employee with some code inside, and if you take a class department extends employee, then how to read this? Department is a employee. Is it a meaningful statement? Department is a employee. Is it a meaningful statement? No, right? Not good, right? It's not at all meaningful statement. Department is not employee. What is the correct way of reading? Department as employees. So writing the code like this is not good. Compiler will not take care of relationships. Programmer should take care of relationships. So whenever we use extend, see the meaning, whether we are getting easy meaning or not. So this should be taken care by programmer only. So writing the code like this fashion is not good. Then what is the actual way of writing the code? For this scenario, we should take class department, and in department we go with the employee here. So now we can read as department as employee. So this is the correct way of writing. Some more examples. This type of relationship we call as a relationship. So in object oriented, we are having two types of relationships. One is a relationship and one more as a relationship. And whenever we use extends keyword, we have to go with is. And as a is like example, department as employees, library as books, classroom as students, car as engine, a part. That part only we call as. Clear everyone up to here about inheritance?
Yes.
Now let us understand this with an example code. So I want to discuss this inheritance like three formulas. First, let us initially understand about inheritance, a basic understanding of inheritance. That is first formula, demo 1. Second program, we'll apply polymorphism in inheritance. We'll go with polymorphism. And third one, we make use of constructors in inheritance. So today we'll see simple basic inheritance and polymorphism. And tomorrow's class we'll go with how to go with constructors in inheritance. So today let us go with the program inheritance demo1.java. Open Eclipse. Right click on project and see. new class. Inheritance demo 1 with main method. Now in this, let us create a class base with two data members, int I, int j. Now in order to give value to these two data members, let us take a method input ij, which takes two arguments int I, int j. Now if you observe, the data member names and argument names are same, then how to differentiate?
This keyword.
Right, we have to use this keyword. So we should write here this dot I equal to I, then this dot j equal to j. Okay. Let us take one more method, display ij. In this, I will just print the value of ij. I equal to the value of I, then space j equal to the value of j. Now let us take one more class derived extends base. Class derived extends what? Base class. In this, we'll go with a data member k. Now in derived class, how many data members are there?
Technically just one.
Yeah, by saying class 1, but since we said extends base, so how many data members are there in derived?
3.
3
We
variables
should
and
say
2 functions. So
right.
and 3
Yeah.
2
So
methods
up
as
to
well.
now, data members. I'm asking about only data members, means only variables. These are your data members. So my question is only related to data members. So we should say 3 data members, that is I, j and even k. Now let us take a method void input k, which takes argument k, and we'll set this dot k equal to k. One more method, display k. Whenever you call display k, will display the value of k. Now how many methods are there in derived class now? How many methods?
4.
4 methods. We should say now 4 methods. 2 methods in base, 2 methods in derived, right? Now let us create object of base b equal to new base. Using object of base, let us call the method input ij. Using base class object, I am calling the method input ij and I am passing the arguments 10, 20. Now when you call the method b dot display ij, the output will be I equal to 10, j equal to 20. No confusions. Now let us create object of derived now. Understand carefully now. Derived d equal to new derived. By using derived object, I am calling directly display ij method. If you observe, in derived class, there is no method called as display ij method directly. Since we said extends base, the derived object can access its own members and also base class members. That is the meaning of inheritance here. That's meaning of what? Inheritance. Now, when you call d dot display ij, it will go to display ij method of base. Then what is the value of ij it's going to print here? What's the value of ij?
1020.
1020? No.
Default values.
Yeah, we should say the answer as default values. We discussed now. Whenever we create new object for a class, what values are given to the data members? Always remember default values. That never take one object data into other object. Both are different memories. Then what is inheritance? The meaning of inheritance is the derived object can access its own members and also base class members. That's the meaning of inheritance, but not base class object data. Both are different. Let me elaborate. Whenever we create base b equal to new base, whenever we create object of base class, whenever we create object of base class, in base class we are having two data members, so it's going to allocate memory for b dot I and b dot j. and the initial values will be default 0, 0. Now when you call the method b dot input ij, for b object I will become 10, j will become 20. That's the reason when you call b dot display ij 10, 20, which object is calling is important here. Now when you create derived object, in derived we are having 3 data members, so it's going to allocate memory for d dot I, then d dot j and d dot k, and the initial values will be default values 0, 0 and 0. That's the reason when you call d dot display ij, we get the output as 0, 0. Never take one object data into another. Let me show this. When you run, see for ij, for derived object we get 0, 0. Right? Clear everyone? How the memories will be for base class object and derived object? Now let me write once again. Base b equal to new base, it is going to allocate memory for b dot I, initial value is 0, b dot j, initial value is 0. When you call b dot input ij, for b object I will be 10, for b object j will be 20. That's the reason when you say b dot display ij 10, 20. When you create derived object for d, the value of I will be 0, d dot j is 0 and d dot k is 0. That's the reason we get output as 0, 0 here when you call d dot display ij. Now by using derived object, let us call the method input ij 30, 40. So who is calling input ij method here? D object. So what will happen? For D object I will be 30, for D object j will be 40. Now when you call d dot display j, the output will be 30, 40. Now if you call the method d dot input k 50, so what will happen now? For D object k will be 50. Now if you call the method d dot display k, the output will be k equal to 50. Now see when you same output what I have given in comments. Clear? Any questions up to here? Anyone?
No.
Now let us move to the next one. Polymorphism. Poly means many and polymorphism means many forms. So polymorphism means many forms. And we are in 2 types of polymorphism. They are compile time and runtime. When you take compile time, it contains the concept of method overloading, runtime method overriding. Let us understand what is this overloading and what is this overriding. Let us initially go with method overloading. These two are very important for interview time also as a beginner. The meaning of method overloading is method name is same but the signature is different. Method name is same but the signature is different. What is signature? Signature means number of arguments or type of arguments. Signature means what? Number of arguments or type of arguments. Let me elaborate. If you take a method name area, and to this area method we are passing 3 integer arguments. To the method area I am passing 3 integer arguments. If you take the method name area and we are passing 2 integer arguments. See, if you observe, method name is same, area, area, but what about arguments? First area method is taking 3 integer arguments, second is taking 2 integer arguments. So how these two methods are different? With number of arguments. If you take one more method area and if you pass 2 floats, then how second and third are different? With type of arguments. Either if they differ with number or type. If the arguments are differing, that's enough. If arguments are differing, then we call it as overloading. This overloading concept is applicable in the same class as well as subclasses. So these two methods can belong to base class and this method can belong to subclass. Coming to method overriding, this is very important. The complete life of Java depends on overriding concept. In this case, method name is same and signature is also same. Signature is also same and this concept is applicable only in subclasses. This concept is applicable what? Only in subclasses. Let me elaborate. If we take a class vehicle with a method drive with some code inside. Now, if we take a class car extends vehicle, car is a subclass of what now? Vehicle. In this, if we take a method void drive with integer as argument, then this method is what now? Overloaded or overridden? This drive
Loaded.
method is overloaded because signature is differing. Here drive method, but what about arguments? Differing. So this is overloaded method, we call overloaded. Now if you take a method void drive with no arguments, then here drive method, here no arguments, then we call this one as overridden method. So whatever the method present in base class, if you are writing the same as the method as it is in subclass, this is only for subclasses. Whatever the method present in base class, if you write the same method as it is in subclass with same signature, then we call it as overridden method. Clear everyone how to identify overridden methods?
Yes.
Now, very important point. If you create object of car, and by using car object, if you call the method drive, then which drive method will it invoke now? Will it invoke vehicle class drive method or the drive method present in car?
By default car.
Car, right? By default it is car only. Always subclass objects only. Always remember overridden methods only. So what is going to happen here? Invokes drive method of car. Always subclass. So remember, if a subclass object invokes the overridden method, then it will invoke the method present in subclass. It will invoke the method present in what? Always subclass. Now, let us understand all these words with the code now. Let us go with the second formula. Inheritance demo2.java. Open Eclipse. Let me copy this demo1 program. Select all. Copy this code. Then, already we have created a class base. And did out in a package. So this is by default, it goes with default package. So in a package, if you have created a class, I cannot create the same classes in the same package. It will go with error. So for that reason, I'm going to create demo2 program in mypack1. Right click on mypack1 and say new class inheritance demo2. This program is mainly about polymorphism. Where we discuss about method overloading and method overriding. Now, here let us take this program. missed out to copy. I think it has. Let us take this code and let us paste over here. Under package, let us paste. Then demo2. The file name is demo2. Now we are having class base with the two data members ij. Now here we are taking input ij method to give value to ij. So instead of input ij method, let me just change the method name to input. So now the input method is giving value to ij. Then coming to display ij method, let us remove ij. So the display method of base class will display the value of ij. Then derived class extend space with one data member k, and here we are using input k to give value to k. Let me remove the k here. Now if you observe, how many input methods are there for derived class? Two input methods. One is present in base class with the two integer arguments. One is present in derived class with one integer argument. So the method name is same, but the arguments are differing. Then we call this one as overloaded method. Now coming to display, I'll remove k. See here, we are having display method in base and same display method in derived. No arguments, no arguments. So signature matching. Then we call this one as overridden method. Now, coming to the main method, we are creating object of base b equal to new base. Then the method's names are changed b dot input 1020. For base class, when you call b dot input 1020, since we are invoking with base class object, for base class there is only one input method. So this will automatically go to its own input method. The value of ij will be 1020. When you say b dot display, for base class only one display method, it will go to its own display method. The value of ij will be 1020. There won't be any confusion here. Now when you create derived object, if you say d dot input 3040, if you say d dot input 3040, then which input method will it invoke now? Base class input or derived input?
Derived by default, derived.
In
Base
derived, they
class.
have an input method with two arguments. Ravi?
Base class.
In derived class,
Okay.
do you have any input method with
Okay.
two arguments directly?
No.
No, right?
No.
So that's the reason it will go to base class input method. So it will match with the number of arguments. So here it is two arguments. So since there is no input here with the two arguments, so it will go to base class input method. So which
Okay.
method to invoke? Whether to go to base class input or derived input, this binding, this connection will happen during compile time only. During compile time only. That's the reason overloading comes under compile time polymorphism. So when you say d dot input 3040, it will go to base class input. The value of ij will become 3040. Now when you say d dot display, now this is important. When you say d dot display, which display method will it invoke now? This one, d dot display. Which display method will it invoke?
This time derived only.
Right, very good. This time derived. It will go to derived display because overridden method, always overridden. So when you say d dot display, it will go to derived display and it is printing only k value. So the value of k is going to print as 0 here. The value of k is going to print 0. Now understand carefully. Now the next concept here. Whenever we say d dot display, it is going to derived class display. It's printing only k value. But our objective now is when you say d dot display, I want to print ij value and even k value. That is our objective now. I'm repeating. When you call d dot display, now our objective is we want to display ij value and even k value. But in this program, who is taking care of displaying ij value? The base class display method. Then now the objective is from derived class display, I want to call base class display. I want to jump from derived display. I want to jump to base class display. How to jump is by using a keyword super. By using a keyword super and call the method display. What is it's going to do? Invokes base class display method. Invokes which one? base class display method. So now when you say d dot display, it will go to display method of derived. C super dot display jumps to base class display, displays the value of ij for which object? D object. So the value of I will be 30, j will be 40, and k is 0. Now comes back and prints k value, that is 0. Then when you call d dot input 50, so to this input method, how many arguments you are passing? One argument. So it will go to its own input method. The value of k will become now 50. Now when you say d dot display, the output will be I equal to 30, j equal to 40, and k will be 50. So when you run, same output what I have given in comments. Clear everyone? The difference between overloading and overridden?
Yes.
Right? So what is the point we have discussed here? Super reference. Super reference is used to refer to the base class members from derived class method. From derived class method, whenever you want to refer to base class members, we use super keyword here. Right? Yeah. Ravi, any questions?
Yeah. Can you go to the code, please?
Yeah. Right.
So line number 37. Now we are displaying IJK. In this case,
Right.
I would like to print first K and then IJ. Can we do that?
Yes. Just replace this. Just to move this one up and print k value first. After that,
Okay.
super dot display. No worries.
Okay, super should not be first statement of the overridden method. It's not compulsory.
No such type of rule. For ordinary
Okay.
methods, this is ordinary method, right? No
Okay.
such type of
Okay.
rules. But when you go
Okay.
for constructor, we are having some rules that I discuss in tomorrow's class.
Okay.
For ordinary methods, no problem at all. It can be anywhere, no problem at all. Okay, you might have heard somewhere like super must be first statement. That rule will applicable only for
Exactly.
constructors.
Yes. Okay.
Right. No. Clear everyone? Any questions? Okay. So let me close the class today as I need to attend one urgent meeting. So tomorrow I'll be continuing with the remaining part, that is constructors in inheritance, very very important one. Then and confusion one also. So before you join tomorrow, just recap constructors topic and join, so that it will be very easy for you. Then tomorrow even we are going to discuss about inner classes. Then we discuss about final keyword, access modifiers, and encapsulation. That will be the part for tomorrow's class. All small topics. Then in the next class, we'll be going with the topic abstract classes and interfaces. With that, we will be closing object oriented. 2 more classes to close object oriented. Okay. Right. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.